Let's start with what bow hunting is to you.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. It's the process, right? There's something about that process. You get closer to critters hunting than you would in any other scenario. You get to know those critters more than anybody else gets to know them because you're hunting. It's not so much the fact that you're killing an animal. It's just that whole process, and the killing is part of that process. Yeah.
I want to capture the process of hunting deer with a bow and arrow to harvest meat for our families. So I jump on board with a good mate Chris to hunt red deer over the rut period in southeast Queensland.
Sometimes this time of day, even if they're not roaring, you'll see them walking through paddocks.
This proves to be no easy task, and the filming spans over the next 2 years.
They'll rub trees and leave their scent in the wallows. They like piss and shit in them. They might have 2 or 3 rub trees sort of close by. And the females will come along and smell that area. So like around Easter time, we saw one hind that was walking the back boundary, just kept going to every rub tree along that boundary. She kept rubbing her nose and scent all along it. So yeah, they're coming into season, so they'll be looking for stags, the more dominant stags, and then the stags roar at each other, you know, to assert their dominance and try and take other females from other stags. So they generally get into their positions, and then they've all got their own little spot then. But yeah, and then they do come out and they'll try and fight, well, combat each other with roars and that to take other females from younger stags or less dominant stags.
Just on this, in this grass here, I'll go up to that next tree that's hanging out. Sort of set up there, and I might let out a call, because I don't know where he is.
You hear that bark? I heard something. I was up there, I heard something coming back down here, but I thought it was a bird. And when I got to there, I just heard like rustling, and then that.
I heard something in there twice.
Fucking probably just onto us, maybe seen us. And I was sitting up there, the wind was going straight in. As soon as that sun comes up, you need to be in the shadows.
Hunting is less about killing an animal and more about being connected to an ecosystem, being a part of something that is so much bigger than us. There's a primitive aspect to it that's probably deep within all of us. For me, it's a drive that comes from deep inside me that I don't necessarily understand, but I know that a part of my DNA belongs in the wilderness, hunting in one way or another. Of course, a big draw card for me is being able to provide clean, lean meat for my family. Whether it's catching barramundi on a rod or fly, spearing fish on the reef with a spear gun, or stingray with a traditional spear, it's all hunting, and using a bow is no different. Stalking deer from 60 yards, or finding cover on a game trail and waiting for them to come to you, the process and the connection is the same. Bow hunting has many lessons to teach: patience, persistence, and the ability to enjoy the whole process, the whole journey and not just the destination. After seeing that stag disappear into the forestry, and despite our attempts to find him again or call him back out, I had a call from a good mate, Shawn, who had just had success hunting fallow deer down in New South Wales. We bounced the idea around of heading back down to the fallow block to look for a doe for some meat for our families. And before I knew it, I was chasing some warmer gear and hitting the road south. Alright, I've been driving all day. It's 5 o'clock. It is 14 degrees outside, and I think I'm nearly there. The boys are probably sitting up on a hill right now, glassing the property that they're on, looking for deer for the morning. I'm spewing I'm not there for that. Oh, we're so high, it's absolutely beautiful. Look at this. Well, this looks like camp for the next few days. I'm going to sleep in the cruiser, but apparently this is the old shearing shed, and this is Shawn's troopy here.
That's native grass,
Oh really?
bush.
No fruit on it though, eh?
No, not this time of year. That's native grass. Each time I take something from the bush, from grass, I ask permission. Because that's the right thing to do. And if they don't give you that permission, you go to the next tree. You ask permission again. You ask grass the same thing. Ask for permission.
For anything, eh?
Yeah.
Anything as simple as grass.
Yeah, just simple as grass. It's called respect. We need to respect this country more than what we are doing now. Need to respect it. Why are you here?
To get to know the country, to take food home to my family, to meet you and to learn about this country,
Are you here to respect this country?
to respect the country.
It doesn't get that much respect as it should. And we're going to try to bring it back. Show respect to Mother, to this country, all of Australia. Yama Wana, I come here to respect and show this gentleman here that he can hunt on this country with respect. Please give us a sign. Thank you. Now it's your turn, Hat.
Whenever I arrive in a new place, I seek permission to be there and to walk that ancient country. Getting to know the traditional owners is not only respectful, it's also a way for their ancestors, those old spirits, to know I'm here with good intentions.
This is my father's water from his land. I carry it with me all the time. Yeah. Which worked until now.
Yeah.
When are you happy with us? You come visit.
Are you happy?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Is he happy?
I'm glad we're happy there. You come and visit.
That's good. Does he stop?
You up in the
Oh,
tree,
yeah.
on dead tree there. Ogalawa.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, Magawa. Yeah.
I just got out and having a chat with Shawn. Spotted. We're literally 2 minutes of being here. Shawn's come down off the ridge, and to greet me. And I'm looking up onto a different ridge and spotted a buck walk past, and a few does with him. And then we've just gone for a walk. We just let those ones go and went for a walk up onto the ridge where he was, and spotted another I don't know, across on one hill there was 10, 15. The ones we were looking at, there's probably another 10. There's so many deer here, so hopefully this weekend we're going to get some meat at least. That would be great. But for now, I'm going to set up camp here, cook up a feed. It's been a big day driving, and just sit down and have a yarn with the boys and catch up.
Shawn's doing this fawn call, and the does are up here above us, so bouncing around. They're a bit suspicious of us. As it starts to warm up, all the thermals go uphill, and we think they're starting to pick up our scent. So they're cautious to come down here. There's a big kangaroo down the bottom here jumping around too. And I think the wind's not really, there's not much, but when there is a buffer wind, it's sort of blowing its way. It's a bit unfortunate, but we want to get up high so we can look down onto them and so our wind's not on them.
The older does are way more switched on. You always find there's usually one that's like the matriarch kind of doe, and she's the one that they all pay attention to, whereas you might get like a fawn might spot you and run or start carrying on scared, but the rest of the mob won't pay attention to it. They'll be like, oh, it's just the young one being silly. But if the matriarch barks or runs or something, they all go. They don't question it.
There's deer absolutely everywhere here. It's just amazing to see. So every face, every hill face you look at, you see does on there. Not many bucks, but we did just see a half decent buck on this hill here. And he was wandering around with his nose up the arse of one of the does, so she's obviously come back into estrus. And he was very distracted, but the does are all over it. They spooked and took off. So we're going to, as you can see, there's a bit of a hill here behind us. There's heaps of does up on that hill. So we're just going to work our way up there, and we'll probably spook them, but go and have a look.
When I first got into hunting, I lived in New Zealand for a couple of years, and I remember when I did my first proper backpack hunts out there, it was like it filled a void that I didn't realise I had. It was like, I've been missing this my whole life. And so now I'm obsessed because I feel like I've got to make up for lost time. Yeah. You know, the amount of people I've taken out that have never hunted before and have come away from that experience going, wow, that was not what I was expecting. Like you've just seen, we've just had a good couple of days of running into critters all day long and seeing awesome stuff, and like the scenery is amazing. You get closer to critters hunting than you would in any other scenario. You get to know those critters more than anybody else gets to know them because you're hunting. So even people who don't hunt could really enjoy that process. It's just that last bit that nobody likes. Nobody wants to kill the critter. Like it's, even when we kill them, there's a certain amount of remorse, isn't there? Like we sort of, it's part of the process. It has to happen. Yeah. But it's not like, for us anyway, like I can't speak for everybody, but for me and the people that we hang out with, it's not so much the fact that you're killing an animal. It's just that whole process, and the killing is part of that process. Yeah.
Well, if we see something, Shawn's got the GoPro on the quiverizer.
This is a fun idea.
Mic's on. Remember the mics this time.
Live.
200mm lens, 35mm lens. Which way are we going?
Somewhere this way.
So if it's windy, we can have a bit of a walk, or you want to get into a location before?
I just want to get up there and just, because I've never been this way, I just want to see what it looks like. And,
Okay.
like, we know deer come out on the fence line nearly every afternoon. So if we're sitting there and we're patient, then it should be right as long as the wind's good.
Okay. Alright, he's moving. Gotta keep up with Shawn. So I think the plan is to get up into position somewhere while we got this little bit of wind, and while it's still early, get a bit of a hide and wait for the deer to come to us. I don't think Shawn or I are very patient though. So we'll see. I think these deer are starting to move. We've been up here for about an hour now, just waiting. Just like in a little spot here on a trail. We're just hoping to ambush them as they come out for the afternoon, and there's been nothing for about the last hour, but over there on that far ridge, which is like 300 metres away, I just glassed a couple of deer, a couple of does coming running down the ridge. Obviously they've come out of their bedding for the day and they're coming out to feed, which is, you know, you'd think they'd all start moving at the same time, roughly. So hopefully this is it. Hopefully they'll start coming over this hill behind us now.
Is she barking over there? Is that a bark? Yeah. Oh.
It's too quiet. What I was waiting for, Jesus alive. Complete cover to just basically run because it's so quiet. She could hear like every time I'd shuffle, like she'd lift her head up, like she was so onto it.
Right. That's the one that was barking, yeah.
Man, that was such a good.
That was
That
good.
worked out really well because I was trying. I don't know if you could see. I was like waving my arms.
Yeah.
So I was waiting for the deer to not be looking, but the roos were looking at me, and I'm like, I was just trying to get them to bugger off, and they did. It worked out really good. And then the other deer started feeding away and left that one there.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're on here.
It's perfect.
This is trouble. It's just too quiet. I can't believe it. Like every other day, they've come up through there and fed along here. Today, they've started the other direction. I think let's just quickly poke down and see what's down there. I always, a good analogy is imagine you're at home alone in your house and then someone tries sneaking through your house while you're awake. You just know what your house sounds like. You'd hear a shuffle, you'd hear just the slightest little thing, you'd be like, what was that? That's not right. And you've got to remember their whole job is to stay alive. That's all they have to think about is to stay alive. But it'd be the same as this. It'd be
So many does.
too many deer. It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
But there's one spot, if we get there before dawn, there's one spot I know where there's a big hole in the fence where they sort of travel through. So we might try our luck on that.
Okay. Yeah, I keep hearing that, like, a lot of deer is actually not a good thing. It's just more eyes, more ears, more noses.
It's one of those things. It's like it's a good problem to have. Like you want to see lots of deer, but it just makes it so hard because so many eyeballs and so many ears, and it's the ones you don't see that are a problem. You know, you're focused on the 2 or 3 you can see, and then there's another 2 or 3 that you can't. But they see you.
And it's all over. No, it was still fun. That was like a 40-minute stalk or more, that one. My foot was so numb from sitting on it.
You know, did you see when that doe busted me? When I was inching forward and she busted me and I was like halfway in a crawl. Yeah. Everything was cramping up, man. Everything was cramping. It was so pain.
You just got to suck it up, eh?
We got away with it though.
Yeah.
Surprised. Yeah, we plan our whole year around it. It's unreal. A lot of blokes only hunt the rut. It's because it's... So the rut is the mating period for the deer. And part of that is they're super vocal. The bucks or the stags, they're vocal. They're trying to claim their patch. They're trying to round up the hinds or the does that they're trying to mate with. And even the does, you know, they're calling, and there's just a lot of action and activity in the bush. It's just it's the craziest time, and it blows my mind that people don't even know that it happens. Like if you were walking through the bush and you heard croaking bucks or stags roaring or something, you'd be like, what the hell is that? And we get to see it. Like we get to see it up close. It's ridiculous. But a lot of blokes only hunt that period because it's so active, and the deer are way more visible than they normally are compared to now post rut. Like you can see they're skittish as hell. Like. And it'll be like this for the rest of the year. So outside of the rut, the bucks will stay together in bachelor groups, and they'll feed up and get fat, drop their antlers, grow their next set of antlers. And they're all mates until next year's rut, and then all of a sudden they turn on each other and it gets wild. And fallow are the most aggressive. They're, out of all the deer species, they are brutally aggressive with each other. They love to have a good scrap.
For the next 4 days, we walk these hills, hill after hill, day after day, learning about the country that we're walking on and chasing these critters around. But we just can't get close enough.
Alright, we're at it again. taking us up at Sparrow's Flat. We had a big walk up here. We spooked a whole lot of deer on the way up. In the dark. We're on top of this ridge here. There's a bit of a gully down to another ridge. And we've just glassed a heap of does over there. So I think we're going to skirt around, try and get up on them. I didn't think she'd actually picked us when we were down there because we were so far away. She was so alone.
It's good, like it's a fun time of the year because you can interact with the deer a lot more. So because they're calling and they're interested in things that are going on, like trying to find their does or their hinds, you can actually call them and you can interact with them and you can bring them to you. I think that's part of why people really love it. It's probably not the ideal time of year to be shooting for meat because the bucks and the stags tend to wear themselves down. All they're doing is mating and croaking and fighting, and that's all they do for 4, 5, 6 weeks. Like, it's all they do. So towards the end of that, they're just wasted away. They're just skin and bone, so they're pretty gnarly and all beat up. And like, you'll shoot one and go to cape it out and get the meat out, and there'll be big gnarly holes and wounds like in the flesh. Like they'll stab each other and they'll have bruises and festering wounds and all sorts of stuff. So it's not a great time of year for shooting meat, but you still, again, you just make use of what you can. But I think it's that interaction that makes it the most exciting part of the year. And so I think pretty much every hunter will plan their whole year around that.
At this point, we have no cover. We're in the middle of a clearing with the sun shining on us, and these two does decide to come down the hill straight towards us. I'm frozen stiff, and Shawn's waiting for these two does to drop down into the gully so he can move quickly and gain some meters to get these does within his range. Yeah. It's always the way, just walking through talking.
We're just in the open full sun.
We generally don't buy meat from the store, so we live off game meat now. So we talked about whether I'd get to the end of a trip, having not shot something, would I be willing to go get a rifle to go and shoot something to fill the freezer? And generally for me, no, because I don't let it get to that point. With the bow hunting, I bow hunt enough that I keep, even though it takes a lot more effort and a lot more trips, I have enough meat in the freezer that we never really have to worry about it. But yeah, the meat is, it's so much tastier than store-bought meat. it's a treat.
I love bow hunting. I'm starting to get used to this. Stalk after stalk. And these days picking up wind or something, it's spooking from so far away. It's frustrating. But that's hunting. The ground's covered in ice over here. Look at that, that's what we're hunting in. Look right down there in the valley. Up you guys probably can't see it. Right down there at the end there's a bit.
It's usually wind. It's like when you're that close, when you're under 50, you're pretty close. You're in their world. It doesn't take much. And the last couple of days have been hard because we haven't had very consistent wind. It's light breeze, so you don't have the sound of the wind masking your sound. So it takes, like you saw the other day, like a shuffling of my knee at 50 yards, and they're up. Like they know something's not right. If you have a good wind up, you can get away with a lot more movement and a lot more noise. And then the other issue with the wind here is, particularly here because it's all valleys and mountainous terrain, it changes a lot. So it could be a light breeze, but it might be just enough that, it's in your face and everything's looking good, and then it's just this light change and you just feel it on the back of your neck. And that's okay when you're 100 yards out, but when you're at 50 and under, it doesn't take much, and they get one whiff and they're gone.
Your ancestors, your old people, be walking this country. Obviously deer weren't here back then and pigs, but they would have been out there in these hills hunting.
Yeah, hunting.
What would they be hunting?
And gathering, maybe. Brew. Possum. Gainer, steak.
Yeah.
Echidna. But we used to go on skins, totems.
Yeah.
My totem is possum. Was they're my ancestors.
Yeah, okay.
We're not allowed to kill him because they could kill my own ancestors. So that stops. Our mob here one time, they were just killing everything. So some had kangaroo, some had snake, some had eel, some had fish, bird, and that was their totem, so they wouldn't eat them. But if there was a possum totem, he had to come along and eat fish. And the fish totem mob was allowed to eat the possum mob. But it was that was the stop for over using the country.
This ridge in front of us, and I have no idea which way she's going to go. We just got to try and locate her again, and then figure out a plan from there. Like when you look at those game trails, you think she'd have to come down through there, right? Like, that's crazy. I think she was a bit further along up in there somewhere. And there's all these blackberries here, so there's every chance she might just find somewhere to bed down in this little gully and not actually go anywhere.
good. I'd never just walk up a mountain for the sake of walking up a mountain. But if you tell me there's a chance of walking up there and killing a critter, I'll walk all day long. It's that intention to kill that I think it heightens everything. You're so dialed in. It's like a really primal experience, right? Got it done. That's unreal. Like we spotted her from that hill over there.
Yeah, for her to still be there,
Yeah.
everything was with us then.
Yeah.
Like when you look at every other stalk,
Yeah.
we had to go down through the bush,
Oh,
up
man.
the creek.
Like the chances of her still hanging around by the time we got down from that ridge. And like after all that walking we've done, we're only 500 metres from the house.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be okay. The adrenaline gets you, hey? It's like everything just gets amped up. Yeah. I don't know. It's such an intense experience, hey? Every single time. Especially when you're stalking on like that. Like the build up to that. Like sometimes I've shot things where it's like you're just walking and talking and then there's literally a deer at 25 and you're like, oh shit, and you shoot it and it just happens and it's so quick. You don't get that build up. But it's like we've been doing this for how many days of hunting have we done? This will be our 4th or 5th day of hunting. There's so much pressure until we started on that hill over there, seeing her here, put in the stalk. By the time I was there, I was like, my heart, you probably hear it on the mic, my heart was like doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And then when it's done, it's like, you have this massive sense of relief, right? You feel so grateful, and I think a lot of people look at that and misinterpret it as like just pure happiness, but it's more a sense of relief than anything. And that's food she was just chewing on, just in the gullet there. So obviously trying to be mindful of, like I've just touched food, also with the arse end. You just gotta be mindful that you don't touch flesh. So I generally won't peel the skin off or anything in the field. Some people will quarter them out, like they'll cut legs off and back straps out and put them in bags and shit. I'd rather just keep her all intact until we get down to the homestead and then we'll process her properly. But just being mindful, that's how people end up with yucky meat, is touching the flesh after touching the skin and other giblets and bits and pieces. Yeah, you have a lot more respect for it when you were there, when that thing died. You were there when you process it and turn it into produce, into a meat. Like you have a lot more respect for what went into it, whereas you see so much wastage with store-bought meat. People, they don't think about it. They just crack open that plastic little container and slap it on a pan, cook it up, and then if they don't want to eat it, they just bin it. Like I don't think we waste anything. We use as much as we possibly can. So yeah, it's a respect thing.
Well, Shawn got it done. From 20 yards, he got it done, and it just felt right, that one, you know. Like you'd probably say that about, you know, if we had hit one of the other deer we'd stalked in on, I'd probably say the same thing maybe, but I don't know, it just felt right. You know, we had the cover, she wasn't moving, you know, the wind was with us, everything was with us, and it just felt right to the point where it actually felt surreal to see Shawn actually draw back. We've done so many stalks together, and to see him actually draw back and take that shot, I couldn't believe what I was seeing, to be honest. And it's been a long time coming. You might not know this episode's been filmed over a 2-year period, and although that might not have been, you know, the stag or the buck that we set out for at the beginning of the episode, it's a deer nonetheless, and it's meat for our families, which is why we do this. So it's pretty special. It was a powerful thing to witness, you know. The emotions go through Shawn, and well, the process of the kill, and then, you know, the overwhelming emotions, getting that second shot into it, and how quick, you know, he wanted to take the life of that doe, so it wasn't suffering, which is what I've seen in all bow hunters. It's no one seems to enjoy the kill, you know. It's fun being in the bush and stalking and being connected to country and feeling like you're a part of something bigger, you know, this ecosystem. But to actually kill an animal is never enjoyable. It just gets to that point where this is why we're here, and you have to take that shot and then get it done as quick as possible. So Shawn got that doe out of its misery very quick and carried it back here to camp, and you know, you can see the years of experience Shawn has, you know, like prepping that deer to carry down on his back like that. And now we're back here at camp, and we've still got another hunt this afternoon. So we got it done, guys. We got it done, I can't believe it. 2 years of trying to get this done, and we got it done.